Hi, welcome back to Mr. Slover's Math. Today we're going to talk about area of a triangle. And just to refresh your memory, a triangle is a figure that has three sides. So we're looking for a polygon that has three sides. That's what our focus is on today. So our warm-up is getting us ready to think about area in general and just about a triangle. So number one is asking you to find the perimeter of the following triangle. So as I said earlier, triangle's got three sides. So we're going to add up all of those sides. We get 44 units. Number two is asking you to find the area of the triangle. And it's okay if you don't know how. I'm just seeing maybe you already know, maybe you don't know. It's kind of just an exploratory on that question. Number three is asking you to solve. You should be able to solve. We've solved before. When you solve your equation, it says 4x equals 100. So in order to undo multiplication, you are going to divide. Same thing on letter B. You're going to divide. And then on number four, it's asking you, what do you think is the same and what do you think is different? So they both have a 62. They both have an m, but one of them has a power of 2, and that's what's different. So this first one, 62m, is really talking about m is in relation to the perimeter. Now you may be thinking, well, m, Mr. Silver, is for meters. And I agree, m does mean meters. But in terms of what we're talking about today, our label, right? M is a label, m squared is a label. Our label in relation to what we're doing today is referencing perimeter. Whereas the m squared is for area. So number one is just asking you to identify whether the information is either for perimeter or for area. In order to do that, I'm just looking at this exponent. If I see a power of 2, it means I have square units. So I've got square miles, square meters. It means I'm focusing on area. All right, area of a triangle. So your formula, A, which is area, equals a half base times height. You may also see base times height divided by 2. Both are the same thing. They both for the same formula. Both find the area. Doesn't matter which. If there is no units, you're going to label it as units. So if I go through an example, like in letter A, we can just look really quick. There's no label. There's no meters. There's no miles. There's no feet, inches. So that's why we're going to label it with the word units. Back to the area of a triangle. H stands for height. Your height is always by the right angle. B is for your base. And recall that it's not always on the bottom of your triangle. So we've talked about how to find the area, but let's talk about what the area is. The area is everything that is inside of this triangle. Another way to think about an area is how much grass is in your backyard if you have a backyard, or how much paint you need for your wall, or how much carpet you need for your room. All of that is area. Okay, so just keep that in mind as we go through this. So example 2 says find the area of the triangles and round to the nearest tenth. All 6 of these are very straightforward. There's nothing complicated about them. You're just doing base times height divided by 2, or like I've done in all of these, a half times base times height. Either method, either formula is going to get you the same result. I want to caution you to make sure that you are labeling these correct. Notice all of these have a power of 2 because I'm finding the area. Okay, the labeling does matter. 17.2 units is different than 17.2 square units. They mean 2 different things. So you need to make sure that you label. Just like if we're talking about money, 10 cents is different than $10. That label matters. So take the time to make sure you are labeling correctly. Now I went through and labeled the H and the B for all of these. That's not a requirement. That's just there to help you if you need to. So the first one, I have my base and I have my height. And I just plug it into my calculator and get 17.2 square units. Likewise for letter B, my base is 4, my height is 2.8. Plug it into my calculator, 5.6 square meters. Very straightforward. Example 3 is a little bit different. It says find the missing measurement in each figure. So it doesn't say find the area. It says find the missing measurement. That means I'm given the area. And that's why I wrote this formula here. We're going to be using this again. Area equals a half base times height. Well, over here it says A equals 2.6 miles squared. That means this 2.6 is my area. That's what this miles squared is telling me. My area is whatever's in front of it. So 2.6. Notice I'm not squaring the 2.6. I'm not putting 2.6 miles squared. I'm just putting the value. So 2.6 equals a half times my base is 3, my height is h. And since it's multiplication, these can go in any order you want. Then I multiply those together. A half times 3, I get 1.5. I divide, I get 1.7 miles. Notice my label, and I pointed it out over here. All of these are finding a missing measurement. So my label is miles or centimeters or feet or feet. There is no squared. I already found the area. I already told you the area. We're working backwards to find a missing piece of information. So make sure you work through example 3 very carefully. Make sure you label correctly. And then the last one. It says draw an example of a triangle with the following area measure. Be sure to write in appropriate dimensions. So here's our formula, or here's our area, 100 square feet. You may be thinking, Mr. Slover, how am I going to figure this out? Is my side length 100? Is my height 100? No. Your area is 100. So here's my area, 100. Just like we had up here, area equals a half base times height. We just don't know what the base and the height is. So you are going to pick a number that is less than your area. So if my area is 100, a number less than 100 is 50. Now keep in mind, you have to have a positive distance that's greater than 0. So having 0 or negative distance is not acceptable. So I need a number that is less than 100, but it also has to be positive. It has to be greater than 0. So I just chose 50. And then I plug that into my formula. 50, right? My area is 100. My side length is 50. So 100 equals 50 times x times a half. And when I solve, I get 4 feet. Now over here I have answers vary because there's an infinite amount of possible correct answers. So today we focus on area of a